everyone. For this lesson, I'll show you how to graph one-step and two-step inequalities. Alright, let's say we have this example right here. Negative 11 is greater than x minus 3. Right, we want to get x by itself, so I would have to add 3 to both sides. Right? We're going to treat this inequality just like an equal sign for right now. So when we do that, we'll be left with just the x on the right hand side, and negative 11 plus the 3 will give us negative 8, right? And this negative 3 and positive 3, they cancel, right? Now we're left with this, but it's easier to rewrite it. I can rewrite it as x less than negative 8. Okay, this is what I want to graph, the x less than negative 8. Okay, so we go ahead and take a look at our number line, mark off where 0 is, and I want to go all the way to negative 8. So I'm going to count off by 2. So negative 2, negative 4. Again, try to keep the interval size the same. Negative 6, negative 8. I can go up all the way to negative 10, right? But I want to graph, right? Since this is x less than negative 8, so we make an open circle at negative 8. Okay, and it's gonna point in the left direction, so it's gonna go in this direction. Okay, and it's gonna be an open circle, right? So this here is x less than negative 8. Okay, and we're done with this one. Alright, we shall continue. Let's take a look at this example. We have n minus 5 less than or equal to 12. Okay, so what I want to do here is add 5 to the left hand side of the inequality and do the same thing to the right hand side. Alright, so after we do that, we're left with just the n, right? And then less than or equal to 12 plus 5, that gives us 17. Okay, so n is less than or equal to 17 because this negative 5 and positive 5, they cancel, right? So we want to graph this on this number line here. So I'm going to start off at 0, right? We can do, let's count by 5, right? Say 5 over here, 10 is over here, this is 15, and 20 roughly over here. Alright, so n is less than or equal to 17, right? So 17.5 is halfway, so it's slightly over here, and it's going to be, right, a filled in circle or a solid circle, right? Because it's less than equal, so right, so that implies it's a closed circle, right? So in which now the next thing is to determine which direction will the arrow point to, right? It's n is less than or equal to 17, so it's going in the left direction, so it's going to point in this direction. Right? Don't forget your little arrow because it tells you it's going to keep on going. Just keep on going, right? And that's it. So this here is represented by that arrow, right? And we're happy. Alright, let's try this one here. Let's say we have k over 2 is less than negative 5. Okay? So here, what we want to do is multiply both sides by 2. 2 over 1 to be exact, right? So multiply both sides by 2 over 1. Okay? Now on the left hand side, if you look at it, this positive 2 and this positive 2, they go to 1, so we can just cross those off, right? We're left with the k is less than negative 5 times 2 is negative 10, and negative 10 over 1 is just negative 10. So we have this nice inequality to graph right here, right? K is less than negative 10. So let's mark off where 0 is. I'll just go up by 5, so this is negative 5, or go down by 5 here, negative 5, negative 10, I think 3 is sufficient here, so we have negative 15, right? So k is less than negative 10. So what I want to do is mark off it's an open circle, so go find negative 10, right? It's going to be an open circle, and it's going on the in the left direction, right? It's going this way here. It's a little funky. Let's see if I can do a little bit better job here. Right, open up the arrow. Right, that's a little bit better. Okay, so it's represented by that inequality. And we're done. Alright, for the next problem you have to watch out, alright? So we're gonna have a little guy. He's gonna be yelling at you guys. Just be careful, right? You wanna watch out. Okay, so let's say we have this inequality. We have negative 9 x is greater or equal to 18, say. Okay, so we have that inequality, and to get x by itself, we will have to divide both sides by negative 9, right? Notice I put an emphasis on that negative. Okay, so do it to the left hand side. I'm going to do the exact same thing to the right hand side. Okay, so here we go. Let's see what we have here. This negative 9 and negative 9 goes to just 1, so we're left with the x, and 18 divided by negative 9, so that gives us a negative 2. Right? This is where the caution comes in, right? The guy's telling you to watch out. Whenever you divide by a negative, right? So whenever you divide or actually multiply by a negative, in this case it's division, so whenever you divide by a negative, you have to switch the inequality. Right? So this originally it was greater or equal to 18. So you have to switch it now. So it now becomes less than or equal to. Right? That's very important. Okay? So this guy is reminding you again to remember to switch the inequality when you divide or multiply by a negative number. Right? So now we have x less than equal to negative 2. Okay, so let's go to our number line here. Let's mark off where 0 is. 0 and 1, negative 1, negative 2. Now let's go to negative 3. Okay, and we want to make a solid circle, right, at negative 2. Fill that in. And since x is less than or equal to negative 2, you're going to go in that direction again, the left hand side. Okay. Alright, again, whenever you divide or multiply by a negative number, you have to switch the inequality. Okay? So now we're all happy. Big smile. Okay, I think you guys are ready for this problem here. Let's say we have negative 2 in parentheses negative 3 plus x less than 12. Alright? So here I would distribute the negative 2 first into the negative 3 and the positive x. So let's do that quickly. Right? Negative 2 times negative 3 gives you a positive 6. And then do the same thing over here. Negative 2 times the positive x gives us a negative 2x. Right? And this is still less than 12. Okay? So the next step is to subtract 6 on this side and minus 6 on this side, right? So because there's a plus sign in front of this 6 here. So when we do that, we're left with, so this and this, they're gone. We're just left with the negative 2x, right? Negative 2x and this is still a less than, and 12 minus 6 gives you a positive 6, right? So now the next step is to divide by negative 2, right? So again, we're dividing by a negative 2. So here we go, dividing by a negative 2. And if you remember from last time, whenever you divide by a negative, you have to switch the inequality, okay? So be careful with that. So let's make some room, and this negative 2 over negative 2, they just go to 1x, so I'll put the 1x over here, right? 1x, and because we divided by negative 2, it's no longer less than, we have to switch that to greater than, right? That's very important. And then 6 over negative 2 is negative 3, right? Negative 3, right? So that's our final step. X is greater than negative 3. Now we're ready to put that on the number line, right? So we go ahead, indicate where 0 is, and negative 1 over here, negative 2 over here. Again, try to keep the interval size the same when you're making up the number line. All right, negative 3 over here, and I think that's enough. So we go ahead. Let's make it this color here. So negative 3, since it's just a greater than, we're going to make an open circle at negative 3. Here we go. Nice open circle, right? And it's greater than, so it's going in the right, or the positive direction, right? And this is x greater than negative 3, okay? And we're pretty happy. Big smile.